Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Nat from Rainbow Moon, and today I am going to start a series of tutorials on using a Cricut Maker, specifically for fibre artists, crocheters, knitters, embroiderers, and how they can use a Cricut Maker in their craft. So I have these yarn end jars that I collect all the scraps from my projects, and I thought we can go through the Cricut Maker on how to do some vinyl labels for today. So there are my jars there. I've gone ahead and done a sample here for 2018. So that's what it looks like. And we're going to make a few more for 2019 and 2020. It's quick and it's easy, and let's get started. Okay, let's go through some tools that you'll need for today's tutorial. You'll need a computer, a smartphone, or iPad. Some tools: scissors, a weeding tool, a scraper, a ruler, and a pen. You'll need your vessel. I'm using a mason jar. And then you'll need some vinyl. You can either get, that's some transfer paper, sorry, some vinyl. So you can either get removable vinyl, which is obviously removable, and there's permanent vinyl, either or, whichever one that you prefer. So some rolls of that. And you will need a mat. This is the Cricut Light Grip mat, perfect for using with vinyl. And then you'll need a Cricut Maker. So here's the maker. This is the Cricut Maker here. It's like a printer and a cutting device all in one. It does so many things. So it's got a little compartment here that you can put all your tools in. And then if you go down to the sides here, it's got a handy USB port, which is also great if you're using a tablet or your smartphone with your Cricut. Always got somewhere to charge it. And we'll just open up the lid. And there you go, that's the inside here, and there's a compartment that lifts up here, which is really handy for more tools. It's also great for keeping your cutting knives and blades. So that just magnet shuts. And here we go, this is where the blade sits in that side, and then in this side sits a pen or an ink for drawing. Over here you'll find the main buttons, so that there's the on and off power button, the feed button, the start button, and the pause button. So that's the maker. Okay, to begin you'll need your vessel. Here I'm using a mason jar, and you'll need your computer or smart device, and you'll need to download the Cricut Design Space. That's the program that you use to talk to your Cricut Maker. It's free and it's quick to download. Okay, so we're going to go into the design space here. This is where you create all of your designs. It's got so many great free fantastic templates to use. So we'll click on start a new project. And here you go, there's your mat there. So this is where you'll create, this is your design space as it's called. So we're going to go into templates, and here they've got an array of templates already put in there for you to pick what you're going to be putting your labels or anything on. So you can envision what it's going to look like when it's finished. So as you can see, there's doors, there's dishwashers, there's hoodies, there's t-shirts, and here's jars, because we're going to be doing a jar today. So what it does is superimpose an image, a template of a jar on your screen here. It won't cut this out. This is just basically a silhouette, so you can envision what your design is going to look like and how it will fit on your jar when it's finished. So as you can see, there's a mason jar there. Now you can go in and you can change it. So we're going to be doing a mason jar. We're going to leave it on that. And then you can change the dimensions. So we're going to put in our own custom dimensions here, the height and the length. So this is where you're going to want to get your ruler out, and we're going to measure the height first of our vessel. Go back into design space and change the height. And as you can see, it changes the template size there for us. So now we're going to go and measure the width of the jar, so we can include that in there as well. And there we go, it's adjusted the template for our dimensions of our jar. So now we can go ahead and make the label knowing what size we want the jar to be. So I'm just going to type in the name of the label that I want. So I'm going to put in 2019. Just type it in into a text box and then click and drag that into position about where I want it to go. Now you can make it bigger or smaller, and then you can move it again. See what it looks like in relation to your jar. It's really handy to be able to see it before you cut it as well using these templates. Now you can go in and you can change the font. So there's so many fonts to choose from. You can search for a font too. So as you can see, there's just so many to choose from. What I'm going to do is choose the font that matches my logo, which is Sacramento. I actually wouldn't recommend this font in hindsight as it is quite thin. I am going to make it bold, but it is quite thin, which makes it harder to peel it off later. You'll see what I'm talking about. So thicker fonts are easier to do. So I'm just going to reposition that, put it where I'd like it to go. You can fiddle around with it as much as you want. Now don't forget that this is also a cylinder, so it will wrap around. Now you can also do things like this and make it change the shape of your writing as well if you wanted to. There's a lot of customization that you're able to do. And you can change the colour. So I'm going to be making pink labels, so I'll make my writing pink just so it all matches. Okay, next I'm going to insert an image here. I'm going to find a moon. Now there's hundreds of thousands of images included in Design Space that you're free to use. Some are by subscription, some are free, some you can purchase. So I'm just going to type in crescent moon, and here's all the results that come up. Now as I have a subscription to the Design Space, I have a lot more to choose from. So I'm just going to scroll down and find a shape that I like. So I like that basic shape there because I just want to do something basic today, and I want them all to match each other. So I've picked my moon, and then just like the text, I can resize it and put it in the position that I want on the jar. And I can also see how it looks in relation to the other number, to the 2019. Okay, change it to pink. And you can also go ahead and do a lot more formatting just like you can with the writing. And there we go. I'm happy with how that looks, I think. Yep, and now when you're finished, you want to go over to the big green button in the top right that says Make It. And now we're going to get ready to cut our vinyl. So this is what your mat looks like the light grip mat that I showed you before. This is actually virtually on your screen, and what you can do is move around your different embellishments that you want to cut and put them into a position on the mat where you're going to stick your vinyl down. So you can move everything around, you can put them closer together, you can mirror image it so it turns it around, which is best for engraving, embossing, things like that, which is perfect. But we're not going to be doing that today, we're just going to be cutting some vinyl. So I'm going to put them back where they were before. And I'm going to now take note of where they relate to on the mat. So I'm going to see what the measurements are. So if you go across, this is how you get the vinyl to line up on your mat. So as you can see here, it goes to that number, yep, and then to 5. So that's how I'm going to measure my vinyl, so it's perfect amount, it's perfect size for what I'm going to be cutting. So here's some vinyl that I've unrolled. I'm going to be using this neon pink, and now you want to get your ruler back out, and you just want to get a pen, and on the back side, so the vinyl is very much like if you've ever used contact paper, so there's a back side, just a paper side that you can draw on that won't appear in your cutting. So what I do is just get my ruler out, and I will measure out those measurements exactly like it has it on screen, so it will fit my cutting perfectly on the vinyl that I'm going to cut. So there, and do the height. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're better off making it a little bit bigger, obviously. That way you definitely know that you're going to have enough. I don't like to waste crafting materials, so any scraps that I have left over I actually put aside for the twins to use in their artwork. So there we go. So you've drawn on the back just using a pen, and now you want to get your scissors. These are these beautiful Cricut scissors that I got. They're very sharp. They cut through the vinyl beautifully. So just cut out your piece of vinyl. Okay, so once it's cut out, you can put the lid back on your scissors and your pen. I like to keep everything organised. Move your ruler away. And you don't need that vinyl anymore. So there's our cut out piece of vinyl. And now you can take off the protective cover that covers your mat and place it. I'm just showing you how you're going to place it exactly where it matches on the screen. So the screen is a virtual copy of the mat that's in front of you. So it's just got a protective cover. As you can see, these mats are sticky, so they've got a sticky coating on them. So the cover just makes sure that all dust and debris doesn't stick to your mat, obviously. Now just take your vinyl piece and match it up exactly like it has it on screen. Stick it down and give it a good rub so it's nice and stuck down on the mat and there's no air bubbles. What you can do now is, there you go, I'm just showing you how it's secured down and how it's stuck down, so yeah, it won't fall off. So it's sticky, yes. Obviously I wanted to overemphasize that. And here's your scraper, so you can use that to just go over it again to make sure it's nice and stuck down, because you don't want it moving while it's cutting, because it's obviously going to destroy your work. So open up your Cricut Maker, make sure it's turned on, and now we can get ready to cut it out. So go back into the design space, and the Cricut is awesome because it can connect via Bluetooth or via cable. I've got mine on Bluetooth, and then you're going to pick your material. So vinyl is there, but there is an array of other materials that you can use: fabrics, felts, cloth, leather, even can cut wood. It can cut thin pieces of wood. So you need to choose your material from the list, but we're going to be using vinyl. And now it'll tell us which blade that we need, which I've already got in the machine. So it's going to tell you to load, make sure that blade is loaded, which I have. So that's A and B, and there is our blade. I'm going to take it out and show you now what that looks like. It's just got a clamp on it that opens up easily, and that's your blade. It retracts on itself, so you can't, as a safety precaution, so you can't cut yourself when it's not in the machine, well, not easily anyway. Put the clamp back on. Okay, now it's ready to use. Now you can go back into design space, and it's going to tell you to press that arrow button and to get your mat and your vinyl ready to go into the machine. So you want to get your mat that's got the vinyl attached. You want to line it up with these two little feet, I guess you'd call them. Just line it up and slide it in there. You don't have to push any pressure. And then the button will flash, the feed button, the two arrows up and down, and you just press that, it will flash, telling you it's ready. So just press it and it will feed the vinyl into the machine, and now it's going to check the blade, make sure everything's okay, talk to the computer. And when it's ready, the little Cricut logo will light up and you press that to get it going. And now it will feed it in and then back again. It will make sure that the blade's ready to go and it will begin cutting. And as you can see here, it is super fast. So it will cut it out. It's pretty cool to watch. You want to make sure that your Cricut isn't up against a wall because it's going to be moving that mat backwards and forwards, in and out through the back and the front. So you want to make sure it's got plenty of room on either side for it to be able to do its thing. So there we go, that's it, it's done it. It's done the moon and the 2019. Now when it's finished, it's going to tell you to press the feed button again. It's flashing at the moment, and that will feed out your mat. And once it's pushed your mat out, you can pick it up, and I'm just trying to show you on camera. It's hard to pick it up, but you can see the outline of your cutting there. Now we just close the machine because we don't need it anymore. It's done. Just get it out of the way. And we can press finish once we finish cutting, and it will take us back to our design space. And we don't need the computer at the moment, so I'm just going to move that out of the way as well. And now I'll show you how to take it off. So it's easier to turn your mat, I find it easier to turn your mat upside down and then give it a bend so that the vinyl just kind of pops off, and then just slightly peel the vinyl off just like a sticker. Comes off very easily. And now, just to make sure that I don't get any dust or anything else onto there, always put your protective film back on top of your mat so that you can use it again for next time. And that's it, we don't need the mat anymore either. Okay, so now that we've got that done, cut out, this is our piece of vinyl. Now we're going to get our weeding tool. And what we're going to do is just take the backing outline, the space that doesn't have our design on it off, so like a sticker, you know, the void space, I guess you'd call it. So you want to slowly peel that off. Now this is what I was talking about with this font. As you can see, it's very thin and very delicate, so it's probably not the best example to have picked, but it still comes off pretty easily. So you just peel it all off the part of the sticker, the vinyl that you're not going to be using. Now I do keep these, like I said. I'm going to scrunch this up shortly because I'm on camera. But I do normally keep them, and I give them to the twins and they make collages and stuff out of it. Now you can use the weeding tool. This is what weeding is. So what I'm going to do is just use the tool to lift out that middle bit of the zero that I don't want. And the weeding tool is great because it just helps you pick up that bit of vinyl, and that was a huge piece, but you can pick up the tiniest pieces like this little bit in between the two. See how it just picks that little tiny bit up for me? So that's what weeding is. So that's it for this design. There wasn't much to do. So that's it. Now that's ready to stick onto our vessel, so we can put our weeding tool away. Get our scissors back out, and I'm just going to separate the moon and the 2019 because I'm going to be sticking them on separate parts of the vessel, so you just want to separate your parts. Keep the 2019 together. Any large designs or bits that you want to be stuck side by side down, keep them together in one big piece because this is going to keep the spacing and everything beautifully aligned so that I don't have to worry about that when sticking it to the jar. So that's it. Now we just need our jar. So we're going to stick it down now. And this is where your transfer tape comes in. So this is exactly like clear contact paper. That's how I remember it looking. So you just needed to cut out a bit of the not contact paper, transfer paper. You can use contact paper if you like. The same size as your vinyl cutouts. So I'm just lining it up to see how I want it to sit on the jar before I stick them down. So you have your stickers, your vinyl labels, and you also have the same size piece of transfer vinyl paper. Now you can use your weeding tool to separate the transfer paper from the backing. Makes it a lot easier, just grabs it so you pick up a corner instead of fiddling with it for ages, and just peel off the backing so you got this clear cover. Now I like to get my top on my pants and just rub it against it a few times so it picks up some lint and stuff from my top, and that actually makes it easier to separate the vinyl from the transfer paper, as the transfer paper is extremely strong grip, which is great. But it can make it difficult to get the vinyl off sometimes, so I like to do that just to get rid of some of the tack. Now you're going to stick it straight down on top of the front of your vinyl. Put it down on a table or a mat and give it a nice rub, get rid of any bumps that you might have, which I don't find it actually does, which is great, not like contact paper. And there you go. So now you can peel away the backing of your vinyl, and your vinyl piece will now be stuck to the transfer paper. Ta-da! Okay, so now this makes it a lot easier because the transfer paper is clear. Now we can know exactly where we want to stick it down onto our vessel. I'm just going to turn my light down because the glare off the jar is a bit bright. Okay, so now we can take your vinyl label and you can find exactly where you want to stick it down. If you're using removable vinyl, it's a lot easier to play around with it. If you're using permanent, I just lightly sit it down on the jar first, just making sure it lines up with the number underneath. Yeah. So I've just very lightly touched it to the jar. So I could move it around if I wanted to, but I like where it is. Now I'm going to get my scraping tool again, and I'm just going to give it a really, now you want to blood pressure. You really want to give it a good rub. It's actually best to leave it for a few hours or even overnight if you have the time and the patience to let it adhere nicely, because you will see there's quite a bit of tack still in the transfer paper here. So you just want to very slowly pull off the transfer paper, and as you go, just rub down the vinyl if it starts to lift a little bit, which it has here for me. Like I said, the transfer tape is very strong. Okay, look at that, easy. And now your vinyl label has attached to the jar, and you can just give it another rub if there's any bubbles, and just to make sure it's nice and securely down and flat. And look at that, beautiful. Yeah, I saw a little bubble, so I just lifted it a bit and put it back down. There we go. Okay, that's one down. Now we're just going to repeat the same thing with the 2019. Now, like I said, because I want to keep the spacing exactly like it was cut out, and also lined up, I don't have to fiddle around with individual numbers instead of just peeling off the two and then sticking it straight to the glass. If you do that, especially with thin things like these numbers, it's just going to go askew. It's like taking a sticker off and it sticks to itself, and it gets all messy and then it goes all wonky because there's actually no structure to the vinyl itself. It's so thin and so small. So keeping it all in one big piece like this for smaller designs or lace type designs, it's a lot easier using the transfer paper, tape, or contact paper. So again, we just want to make sure it's rubbed down so that the vinyl actually adheres to the transfer tape and comes away from the backing paper onto the transfer tape for us. Now I've just rubbed it too firmly and stuck it down to my mat. Okay, so you want to peel away the backing paper. As you can see, some of it's still sticking to the backing paper instead of the transfer tape, so you just want to gently pull it down, there we go, and make it stick. Again, this is my own fault for choosing a font that's so delicate for this demonstration. Lesson learned. I'm still very much a beginner myself, so it's kind of one step ahead of you at the moment. But this is how quick and easy it is to learn how to use a Cricut. And I'm going to show you some more in-depth crochet type tutorials on how to use Cricut Maker with crochet soon, so I just wanted to start with the labels. Okay, so just rub it down again. Ideally, you do want to leave it for a while. I've made labels for the kids' drink bottles and Layla's lunchbox, and I left them overnight, and oh, they were brilliant. They just come off so much easier if you leave it for a while. So I think it has enough time for it to adhere. And the twins think it's great, and they get to pick their colours and everything. So if you've got kids, these Cricut Makers, just amazing. There's also infusible inks and stuff for their clothes, for school. There's so many things that you can do with it. Labels for pens. Make your own contact paper for books. How cool would that be? I would have loved that as a kid. Okay, so slowly peel it off. Again, it's so thin what I have picked here that you have to be really delicate with it because the two is just not wanting to come off. There's just no, so you can just use your finger like I am there to just grab the end of the vinyl that's stuck to the transfer tape and kind of force a little tiny bit of it down onto the jar itself as you're peeling away the backing paper, if that makes sense. And there we go, beautiful, all stuck down. So that's it. That's the finished jar there. So now we have 2019 done. It's very quick. The video is making it look longer because I'm slowing it down to show you. And the last one, so I'm going to do another label for 2020 as well. So what you can do is, instead of closing out of your design for the last one that you did, if you want to do multiples and you want them to be exactly the same size, I like to keep the project open and just replace it. So here I'm replacing 19 with 20. Now it looks bigger there, but don't forget that the mason jar is actually cylinder shaped, so that's going to wrap around the jar fine. So even though it looks bigger, it is 3D in real life. So let's make it. So that was easy to just switch over. And I know they're going to be exactly the same size, so I just wanted to show you that. So there we go, there's my finished jars all up. I did that with the twins and recording this in about 20 minutes. So all 3 jars, and they're all done. I hope you enjoy this tutorial. See you in the next one. Thanks, bye.